Hi there and welcome once again to Four Wheels Good, the programme which beckons you into the finest vehicle to ever tour the motoring world. On today's show we take you for a surprising spin in an electric vehicle which is being tested in Jersey by Toyota. Ginny Buckley drives Volkswagen's Multivan and finds out exactly where this bedroom on wheels fits in the marketplace. And John Spanners at the Ready Right carries on with his quest in Inside Motors. But first, Royle flew over to Germany to test drive the Subaru Forrester, both on the road and on a special test track to see if this particular sports utility vehicle can make the grade.
Subaru are one of those car manufacturers that have had a fairly low profile in the UK, but Subaru have been around for a long time and the cars they produce have great fans in many markets. There's the very impressive Legacy Estate, which is very popular in the rural communities, and the Impreza Turbo, a car that following its tremendous rally success has brought many more customers to the Subaru name. Well, now Subaru are about to introduce an all-new model to the UK, and it's the Forrester. The Forrester goes head-to-head in the sports utility market against the RAV4 and Honda CR-V. It's priced very competitively, starting at £16,400 with a choice of manual or automatic gearboxes, but just one engine choice, a 2-litre producing 122 brake horsepower. Obviously, the style of the car is one of the first things that you look at. It stands quite tall but doesn't have the high-up driving position of some of its rivals, but there's a good deal of headroom inside. Fuel economy is good, performance is quite reasonable, and the Forrester has Subaru's tried and tested all-wheel drive system. But let's really put it through its paces now at a private airfield. Well, we're going to test out the Forrester now on a private airstrip which has been closed off for us. We've got a slalom course, we can test the braking into a full stop sort of bus stop situation, and then round some very fast corners, and finally a timed speed at the end of the other side of the runway. So let's go and see how we get on. There we are, that's how you do it. The all-new Subaru Forrester has been developed for the growing sports utility segment. In its development, Subaru has concentrated on the passenger car all-wheel drive technology that makes use of the horizontally opposed engine that they've been developing for a long period of time. So what was the thinking behind introducing the Subaru Forrester? Ed Swatman, Managing Director.
Well, as far as we're concerned, the Subaru Forrester is the car that absolutely had to be. If any manufacturer should produce a product to enter this expanding segment of the 4x4 market, it had to be Subaru, with its history of preeminence in four-wheel drive technology, demonstrated time and time again in its world-beating successes in the Rally Championship.
So what do you get for your money inside the car? Well, if you have what Subaru call the all-weather pack, you basically get the lot. You get the sunroof, air conditioning, heated seats, side airbags, but it adds an extra £2,000 to the bill. I felt that perhaps the car struggled on the mountain roads we drove on, and a boost in power to the engine would be quite welcome. In Japan, you can have a 2-litre turbo Forrester, but not in the UK. Well, yet anyway.
With Subaru's ever-growing popularity, it would be difficult to see how the Forrester could fail to hit the mark. Watch this space. Now, if you're fed up with all this talk of MPVs and want a vehicle that really is practical, then Ginny Buckley has been driving something that's a real multi-purpose vehicle. Volkswagen Multivan may not be as economical to run as Ford's Galaxy or Fiat's Ulysses, but when it comes right down to it, neither of those contain a double bed.
Do you remember the MPV special we did some months back? And a certain Mr. Rutherford, who was adamant that MPVs were not multi-purpose vehicles, but instead...
They're not MPVs or multi-purpose vehicles, they're minibuses.
Oh, what was that again, Mike?
They're minibuses.
Yeah, right. But Mike, just to be awkward, and you know I'm good at that, I have to tell you that there are stacks of people out there who don't give a monkeys that their vehicle looks like this or handles like a van, because all they want is something practical.
Of course, great strides have been made by manufacturers in creating from scratch big, multi-seated vehicles that drive like cars. But at the end of the day, although you can fit 7 or 8 people into the standard wheelbase MPVs, you can't really fit in all their luggage as well. And you certainly couldn't sleep comfortably in any of them.
Enter the Volkswagen Multivan. Okay, so it may look an awful lot like the Caravelle, which of course has been around forever, but it looks like it because basically this is what it is. The breakthrough has come with the designers actually sitting down and thinking about how they can use the interior to make this a real multi-purpose vehicle. Okay, so there's only one door, which is a slight drawback, I must admit, but that's because on the other side is this fantastic pop-up table, perfect for doing work on those long journeys, or for kids to play games on, which they can then store in one of the great number of cubby holes. When you're parked up, you can even pop a TV set on here for a bit of light relaxation and then plug it into one of the sockets down there. And up here is a fluorescent strip light, which is handy for getting changed by at night when it's dark, because yes, this is a bedroom as well. Open the huge but surprisingly not too heavy tailgate and you find a mattress. Now that's the first part. And now it's off with the headrests. 1, 2 and 3. 2 simple catches to release the back seat. And the final piece of the jigsaw is the handle down here. It needs a good firm pull. And there you have the perfect double bed. Oh yeah, forgot about this bit. The nice men at Volkswagen provide you with curtains to protect your modesty. The Volkswagen Multivan seems to me to be just perfect for the family that likes to get out and about at the weekend, maybe indulge in a spot of camping. So I lent the Multivan to my boss to see how he and the family got on with its various configurations. Oh yes, what great fun. Clearing the bed away and popping up the breakfast table may be lovely for the family, but what about the poor driver at this end? Well, although it's a bit of a struggle to actually get up here, once you make it, the seats are fantastically comfortable and there's a wonderful commanding view of everything around you. The switchgear is all very sensibly laid out and easy to find. And although the steering wheel isn't adjustable, I've got to say that everybody who's driven this vehicle, whether they be 6 foot tall or 5'4" like me, seems to have found that it suited them just right. Now the other huge MPV in this sector is the Mercedes V-Class, and both that and the Multivan are priced at around £22,000. However, what you don't get with the Mercedes is a whole host of extras that come as standard on the Multivan,
including a radio cassette, electric front windows and electric mirrors. And what about the dual aircon system, which is absolutely fantastic? Cold in the front, warm in the back, or maybe the other way around. Here you have automatic climate control split between the front and the rear. It's when you turn the key and get the Multivan moving that things start to get a little bit disappointing. There's an awful lot of engine noise. But then again, we're not exactly expecting it to be as quiet as a Citroën Synergy or handle like a Ford Galaxy, are we? But don't let the fact that essentially you're driving a van put you off. Once you're behind the wheel and you're up and running, it's actually not as difficult as you would think, and you do get used to it extremely quickly. You may feel a bit like a truck driver from time to time, and the noise from the diesel power plant isn't that well insulated. But at least this isn't as gas guzzling as many of the petrol MPVs I know.
Now if you're in the market for something like this, you really do have to weigh up all the pros and the cons extremely carefully. This would be a great vehicle for the family, for weekends away, but not so good if you also want it to double up for business journeys or for daily commuting.
The Caravelle on which this new Multivan is based is a solid, reliable performer and was voted by Diesel Car magazine to be the king of MPVs. The Multivan builds on these strengths to improve the practicality for folk who want to use it as more than just a minibus.
But all I know is that it's just fantastic to be able to lounge around inside a vehicle with a cuppa and with the TV on, nice and warm, while the crew set up the next shot.
Ginny Buckley relaxing in the comfort of her very own bedroom on wheels. That's it for part one, but join us after the break when we'll be flying over to the Channel Islands to take a spin in a revolutionary and eco-friendly new sort of Toyota RAV4. And John Wright will be getting oily fingers in Inside Motors. Welcome back to Four Wheels Good, the programme that brings you the best in motoring magnificence. The scientists in the world of vehicle development are always working towards ways in which engines can be made cleaner and more efficient. Well, the boffins at Toyota have come up with an engine for the popular RAV4, which runs efficiently on electricity. Peter Baker flew over to Jersey, where these vehicles can be seen but not heard, to see if the claims were really true.
Jersey in the Channel Islands. It may be only 9 miles by 5 miles across, but the summer sees Jersey packed with tourists enjoying the hot sun and the annual Battle of Flowers parades. But for the people living here, as well as looking after the tourists, this is mainly an agricultural island, and that means Jersey potatoes, tomatoes and milk products and whatever. Now, this is not to say that the average Jersey man or woman gets off on the latest agricultural equipment. They want to have fun as well. Islanders in Jersey are pretty well off, and you see an awful lot of sports utility vehicles and fun 4x4s to take them to the beach or whatever they want to do in their leisure time. Things like the X90 from Suzuki or the Honda CR-V or the RAV4 from Toyota. I've hired one of these for the day from a hotel, but this ain't a normal RAV4. This is all electric. This electric RAV4 is one of a mini fleet provided by Toyota to hotels around Jersey to test out the concept of electric vehicles over a 5-year period. It's a rather unusual beast to get to terms with at first.
When you turn it on, all the lights come on. You see your full charge ready to charge.
Right.
It's a little orange light that pops off. You've got part reverse neutral drive. You've got B, which is braking, and also a little button here comes up here.
Yep.
EBX extra brake. When you're going downhill, you put it into B, it slows you down. It's like a lower gear, and it recharges the battery as well.
I think primarily to start with, it's got a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit, so it's a very safe driving environment. So therefore, you're not going to have people perhaps who drive petrol cars who then go on to electrics and speed. And it is an extremely safe vehicle. I think the beauty of it is a very quiet car, but the problem with that is we had actually 2 guests who waited in the car park for 20 minutes for the engine to start up. They couldn't hear the engine, and therefore we had to help them out and advise them that actually there was no noise. It's a supercar, it's very quiet. That's quite disconcerting initially, but you get used to it. Put the stereo on, I think, is the answer to that. I think it's a very practical car. This particular model is not too large, so it parks well. There's no difficulty in recharging it. There are places on Jersey, 4 points on Jersey we can recharge. 120-mile duration, that's excellent for Jersey. I mean, most of our customers do more than about 4 or 5 miles a day, myself included. So that would work very well for me. So it's got a good future, I believe, on Jersey.
Certainly this Channel Island seems to be an ideal location to run electric vehicles. After an overnight charge, it'll run for more than the average day of touring. There are no motorways to run out of juice on, and the maximum speed on the island is 40 miles an hour. So, well-chosen Toyota.
It wasn't so much us choosing Jersey, it was really more like Jersey choosing us as Toyota. They are very keen on electric vehicles in Jersey. They've had a lot of history of trialling vehicles there and just trying out different manufacturers' products. Really, the RAV4 EV was chosen because it's the latest thing, and also because we like Jersey because it's only 45 square miles across. It's a speed limit of 40 miles an hour, so it's ideal for an electric vehicle.
The electric RAV4 is packed with nickel hydride batteries, which give a 200-kilometre range and a top speed of 125 kilometres an hour. But an electric motor and power aren't the only changes.
Obviously, the vehicle has a one-speed transaxle, so there aren't gears as such. You literally put your foot down and the vehicle accelerates away. And the good thing about an electric motor is it has a lot of torque, a constant amount of torque at low revs, so it actually picks up extremely well. You put your foot down and you literally whiz away very quickly and very quietly, obviously. No noise, apart from a little bit of tyre rumble.
Once you get orientated, these electric RAV4s drive as well as the ones we know and love. The ride quality, great. Handling, amazing. You can almost thrash it round the corners with the grip of a saloon, which is remarkable for a car with such a high centre of gravity. But why did Toyota choose the RAV4 for their electric car experiment?
We took the vehicle, we used that as the base vehicle for our electric car, because it's such an unusual car in itself. The RAV EV was, the RAV itself was an extremely unusual vehicle when it came out. Sort of like, it looks like an off-roader, drives like a car. So it was a natural progression really to put the electric drivetrain in that vehicle.
Well, if you're eager to be the first on your block with an electric RAV4, I'm sure you won't be that eager to find out that if this were for sale in the UK, it would be around £50,000. So with that sort of price tag, what really is the practicable future of electric vehicles?
A lot of people feel that it's so nice to come to Jersey, come to Laurel's have something different. There is a novelty factor, but also if you're taking kids out, it's the kids eventually who will be buying electric cars for the future.
This was our first stage, so these are nickel metal hydride batteries, which are very advanced in themselves in the RAV4 EV. But the next stage is probably the fuel cell vehicle, which is another stage of hybrid vehicle, basically electric vehicle rather. And then we have a full hybrid vehicle as well, which we unveiled only a matter of weeks ago in Japan.
So while we wait for a practical electric future, are we really living in a present which is only an extension of the old electric milk float? Take a look at this. That was Scandinavia, where they have electric car rallies. I don't think even Ernie the milkman will be seen driving one of those.
Well, with a price tag of £50,000, the electric RAV4 will never catch on, but I don't suppose it'll be too long before these sorts of cars become available at a reasonable price. Well, once again, we've come to that point in the programme where John Wright pulls out his spanners and shouts his war cry of Inside Motors.
Pop that down there. Yep. Take the bolts out, pop them to one side. Just tap the cap a little bit to relieve it. That's it. I have a big end journal coming free. And engines, as you probably know, run on hydrodynamic bearings, and that's a big end bearing.
and I'm very pleased with the state of that. It's in superb condition. We'll have to have the journal measured when we get to the machine shop to see how much of a grind it needs. But really, for an engine of this age, I'm exceptionally pleased with the condition of that bearing. It's lovely. See what size it is, because the sizes are written on the back. I think that's a standard size bearing. Just get rid of the piston, catch it as it falls out the bottom. There we go. One horrible looking but intact piston. Right, now we've got the piston out, what I do is I take them out in singles and I make sure that the journal always stays together, so I re-bolt that together. Now that is actually quite important, because when the rods are manufactured, the holes machined in them when they're together, and no two rods are exactly the same. So you've got to keep the bearing cap and the rod together.
Well, sadly, we've come to the end of another edition of Four Wheels Good, but take heart, we'll be back again next week. And on next week's show, Steve Vokins will be paying a visit to a classic old British car manufacturer. Eamon O'Neill meets up with the builder of some of the world's most famous hot rods, and we'll be finding out how computers are being utilised at every stage of car production at Ford. See you then.